Wars are terrible, dreadful things that breed the worst emotions in people. But when a war ends, usually there's a moment of ugliness. There's those that lord it over others. There are punitive parts of it. But the American Civil War didn't do any of that. It almost defies logic, but it all boils down to two human beings that Ulysses S. Grant and Robert E. Lee had a first and foremost primary respect for each other, respect for each other's ideals, and built upon that and the most basic human instincts. So instead of one putting it over the other, one being captivated by the other, they both worked together. They had fought against each other tooth and nail for almost a year. They were the great masters of war, but now they found themselves in an even more important role. They became the first proponents of peace. What they did would set the tone for the entire nation.
We've been at this commemorative thing for the better part of 5 years, and while I'm not sure Appomattox is the end, it certainly symbolizes the end for most people. We'll be doing some more programs in the aftermath of the war, but there's no question that this event at this quiet place, this tiny village in Southside Virginia, which reverberated across the land and still does in so many ways. We like to see Appomattox, heck, we like to see everything, all of our history in very simple terms. There was a soldier who rode upon his fellow soldiers after hearing of the surrender meeting between Lee and Grant and said, "Boys, our work is done, we can go home." And Americans have always liked to think of Appomattox that way, but in fact it was also a beginning of something else. And that something else was vastly more complicated than we ever could have imagined. This kind of reshaping of a nation, this path to citizenship for former slaves, followed by the path to equality, which is still, of course, ongoing and in some eyes contentious. So it's a very complex event derived from a relatively simple moment in time in one of America's classically simple landscapes at Appomattox Court House.